So I'm talking about chemophobia, irrational fear of chemicals, especially pesticides. See, Article 51AH of our Constitution, Indian Constitution says that it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to develop scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of enquiry and reform. One has to inquire and one should change oneself after knowing the fact of it. One should change and one should declare that I have transformed my mind. But that is not happening in many times. So let us see the history of India in terms of the availability of food. There were many famines. During the pre-colonial era itself, there were many famines. And after the coming of the British, during the colonial era, it was so intense that millions of persons died at various places in the country. And there were few photos, especially about Bengal famine that happened in 1943 to 1945 period. And these are all dead bodies thrown in the streets of Calcutta. 30 lakh people died during that period. And the Calcutta entire city was stinking with the dead bodies. And then we have got independence, and afterwards, even then we were struggling for increasing the food production. But with the introduction of a newer technology called Green Revolution, we could increase the grains, mainly rice and wheat, to a great extent. And the proponents were Norman Borlaug, Emma Swaminathan, and C. Subramaniam and B.P. Pal. And with that, we could increase the availability of food to all the people in the country. And in real terms, in real price terms, the price has reduced for rice as well as wheat. You can see India stands first in many cases, and you can see the graph, how it goes. This is wheat production. And the Green Revolution technology, the most important one was new seeds, which are short-statured and profusely producing. And then chemical fertilizers, pesticides, mechanization and irrigation. But we are very much concerned about pesticides. Okay, we can accept everything, but not pesticides. That is an anathema for us. So let us see. There are a lot of pesticides and a lot of medicines. In the modern medicine, there are a lot of chemicals. Thousands of chemicals are used as medicines. And hundreds of chemicals are used as pesticides. And we have an irrational fear for any chemical, especially pesticides. Irrational, I would say irrational fear. See, and also on the other side, we have a love, a special and irrational again, a baseless love for things which are green, nature, plants, flowers, everything green. And we have a feeling for that. That is called biophilia. Biophilia. And pesticides, if you look at the adverse impact of pesticides in the internet, you will get a lot of things. All the things, blindness, nausea, dizziness, diarrhea, and then cancer, immunotoxicity, neurological and developmental toxicity, like the list goes. Effect on humans. You will get all these bizarre pictures. And this is the most celebrated pesticide poisoning case in the world. The endosulfan tragedy of Kozhikode. Even though the pesticide was applied at pesticidal concentrations, nowhere in the world such a thing happened, except in Kozhikode. Nowhere in the world. Millions and millions of tons were applied, and nowhere in the world such a thing happened. And you can see stories in the site of tunnel, such stories. And this is a report published in 1979. So it all started mainly with the publishing of Silent Spring by Rachel Carson way back in 1962. And the book says, chemicals are the little recognized partners of radiation, entering into living organisms, passing from one another in a chain of poisoning and death. The chemicals never degrade. It will go from one organism to other, making a killing spree. That is what she has written. And Now we will examine the things. Is it true? Can it be true? See, this is a picture of a forest, and we are living in an ocean of poisons. Every day we take poisons and we excrete poisons. We absorb poisons every day. Can it be correct? It's a pristine forest, and take a farmland. See, you can see a worm which is feeding on brinjal shoot and fruit. You must have eaten it. You must be taking sambar, no? So while taking sambar, you must have eaten these worms. And on the other side, it's a bindi shoot and fruit borer. If the bindi shoot and fruit borer is given brinjal leaves or fruit, that will eat and that will die. And on the other hand, if brinjal shoot borer is given the bindi one, that will also die. So all are poisons. The plant is producing poisons to ward off its herbivores, all type of herbivores. So all the plants, whether we eat, whether we do not eat, all the plants produce poisons, and on plants the animals depend. So if the dependency is going beyond a point which is harming the survival of the plant, naturally the plant cannot run away. The plant will produce different types of poisons. So either they will be repelled away or sometimes they will be dying also. See, this is one-eyed goat or sheep from California. People thought that it is an attack by some sort of cyclops, Yetshi. And later on, the studies have shown that that plant, in the insect, when that plant flowers, and if the cow or goat eat it, and the cow is in its first trimester of pregnancy, the calf will be having one eye, because the plant chemicals are able to make genetic changes in the fetus, and the place of the eye and the size, the number of the eyes are changed by the plant chemical. And this is another case, crooked calf disease caused by lupine poisoning. So this is actually a weed which is seen in California or in American region, and such plants are available in our place also, which can cause poisoning for the calf. See, crooked calf born birth defects in humans, it can happen for humans also. Though we do not eat these grasses or weeds, we don't eat usually. In a Californian family, a baby boy, a litter of puppies, and goat killed, all had crooked born birth defect. They all had crooked born. The goat had consumed lupine plant, and they have taken the milk of the goat. So all have this crooked calf defect. So it can also happen. This poisoning from milk of foraging animals. See, our cows are eating on so many plants. So these plants have produced poisons, and in the milk there will be different types of poisons in the cow's milk or goat milk. Abraham Lincoln's mother, Nancy Lincoln, died from drinking cow's milk contaminated with snake root plant. It killed thousands of European American settlers. You can see it is Ageratina altissima. That plant, when flowers, produce very strong poison that can kill persons, or that can kill even cows. Now, a study by Bruce Amis. He has taken 350 plant produced, naturally occurring chemicals which are occurring in nature, 139 plant produced chemical, 139, and 451 synthetic chemicals in larger, higher concentrations. He tested it on animals, mainly rats and mouse, laboratory animals, and found that around 50 to 60% of these chemicals produce tumors in test animals. Whether it is synthetic or it is natural, they are producing tumors in test animals at higher concentrations. It doesn't matter whether it is synthetic or natural. See, the sources of carcinogens at higher concentrations, many chemicals in plants, plant produced chemicals can cause cancer. In cabbage, cauliflower, lemon, lentils, lettuce, lime, mango, at a higher concentration, these chemicals can cause cancer. So every day we take some form of coffee, black coffee, and black coffee uh, contains lot of chemicals, caffeine and other chemicals. So Bruce Amis tested carcinogenicity of these chemicals in the rodents and found that 21 chemicals in coffee are causing cancer, and not positive is 8 chemicals. Uncertain to test is another thousands of chemicals. So even black coffee contains lot of chemicals which at higher concentration can cause different types of cancers in the body. But there is an argument. Synthetic chemicals are recent. Our defense mechanism to cope with the natural chemicals are insufficient to protect us against synthetic chemicals, because we have been evolving, and through millions of years we are in combat with these chemicals, and we are able to process these chemicals but not synthetic chemicals. That was the argument. Let us look at it. See, mainly organochlorine chemicals. 1,500 organochlorine chemicals are found in living organisms. Chemicals like DDT or BHC, such chemicals are found in living organisms. So we are evolving with these chemicals in living organisms. And another thing is that our diet is changing. We did not eat tea or coffee 100 years before. No coffee or tea 100 years before. And many new plants were introduced recently only. Coffee, cocoa, tea, potatoes, tomatoes, corn, avocado, kiwi fruit, rambutan. All these were introduced very recently only. And they are not causing problems. So we have a defense mechanism which is able to cope up with these chemicals, either synthetic or natural. We have a mechanism. See, DDT is extraordinarily lipophilic and biomagnified. That is the main issue. The toxicity of DDT is very low, but it is able to biomagnify, and it is lipophilic and it persists for years. But at the same time, teratogenic cancer natural pesticides like solanin and chaconin present in Solanaceae family, brinjal, tomato and potato are also able to bioconcentrate. Those potato eaters who constantly take potatoes will have a higher concentration of solanin and chaconin in their body, and these are teratogenic. So it is usually advised that people who are having in the first trimester of pregnancy should not eat potatoes, because that contains a deadly chemical, that is solanin and chaconin. And Euphorbiaceae family, these plants which we keep in indoors or outdoors, they are very potent mutagens, and from which comfrey tea is taken, that is also can cause liver cirrhosis. All these plants produce thousands and thousands of deadly chemicals. And another book like Rachel Scarson, Silent Spring, this is our stolen future. Our stolen future. The future is stolen. There is no more future, no more young people. This book claims that traces of synthetic chemicals such as pesticides with weak hormonal activity may contribute to cancer and reduce sperm count. So, mainly pesticide residues are causing sperm count reduction, and also they are all environmental estrogens. It is called, when they degrade in the environment, they act like estrogens. So, it is bad for the males. But let us look. Our normal diet contains natural chemicals that have estrogenic activity millions of times higher than due to traces of synthetic estrogenic chemicals. Pesticide residues are very low in our diet, and that is being shown as EDCs, estrogenic chemicals. See, all these sort of pulses and soybean, all these have high quantity of estrogen. We are taking it and no problems happen. we are able to degrade these chemicals and absorb or reject from the body. So we have a mechanism, and that mechanism will be able to cope up with pesticide residues also, because the body will not recognize between synthetic as well as natural chemicals. When a xenobiotic, when an outside chemical is enter into our body will be able to react. And everything is chemical. There is nothing which is not a chemical in this universe. This is the constituents of a banana which we take. Identified 140 chemicals are there, and unidentified many lakhs of chemicals will be there in a banana fruit. And a rat at the wee hours of the night is eating tapioca in the wee hours of the night. And next day, it won't eat the same tapioca plant. It will go to another plant and eat the tuber. And the next day, it will go to another plant. Because at the second when the rat is biting the tuber, the plant will start producing hydrocyanic acid in its leaves. And by the next day, hydrocyanic acid from the leaves will be pumped into the tuber, and mainly to the peels of the tuber. And next night, when the rat comes and bite tuber, immediately that will feel a very bitter taste, and that will be repelled, and that will go to another plant. Likewise, the plant is able to respond within 24 hours with production of high quantity of hydrocyanic acid. So all the plants have such a defense mechanism. And the toxins produced by the plants are utilized in various ways. Plants are the treasure chest of poisons in this world. Millions and millions of chemicals are produced by the plant. This is a larva which is feeding on Calotropis leaves. And when it becomes the butterfly, beautiful butterfly, but this beautiful butterfly, if eaten by a predatory bird, immediately that will vomit it out. If the butterfly if the bird is eating 3 or 4 butterflies, that is sufficient to kill them. Since it is so bitter in taste, they will be able to vomit it, and they will save their lives. So, the larva is taking chemical from the plant, and the larva is storing it in its body, and when the larva become the adult, most of the tissues are lysed out, no more old tissues. But even then, the chemical, the protecting chemical is stored in the butterfly, and that is protecting the butterfly from its predators. So it's a chemical warfare which is happening in nature. Cucumber beetle and cucurbitacin. You plant few plants of cucumber, and within 3-4 days, this beetle will come, and that will eat the leaves. And the cucumber leaves contain cucurbitacin, which is a strong poison, with bitter taste and very strong poison. See, don't eat bitter pumpkin. Study once after women lose hair. This is a news from Paris, where some 15 ladies ate bitter pumpkin, somewhat bitter, and they lost their hair. Entire body hair was lost. Luckily, they didn't die. But here is a news from Pune, where a lady who was very much lenient to natural living, she took 2 glasses of bottle gourd juice and she died. The cause is cucurbitacin. So cucurbitacin is there in cucumber. So every plant has major as well as minor poisons, and which at higher concentration can cause harm to us. This is a very strong poison and a carcinogen from a fungus which is usually found in oil cakes. And this is warfarin. When my father had a severe paralytic attack, we have taken him to the doctor, and doctor gave warfarin, which is a rat poison according to me. I teach my students that warfarin is a rat poison, and the rat poison is administered to him. So, but warfarin at a lower concentration is a life-saving drug that will be lysing the blood clots in the brain, and the patient will become normal. But at a higher concentration, the same chemical will be breaking the small artery release in the brain of the rat, and the rat will die. Same thing, at a higher dose, that is a toxin. At a lower dose, that is a life-saving drug. And this is, which according to me is a rat poison. Again, but the same chemical is prescribed by my doctor to my mother, aging mother. That is vitamin D3. Same thing, which is a very much essential for an aging woman, but at a higher concentration, that is a rat poison. So the margin between a remedy and a poison is very, very narrow. And we, the mammals, almost all the organisms have a very strong defense mechanism against plant produced poisons or animal poisons or other type of poisons. Which are those protection? One is body weight. We have a higher body weight compared to insects. So the concentration that kills an insect will not harm us. That we will come into later. And higher body weight means all the toxins will be diluted in the blood and lymph, and that will be excreted out. It is not able to hit the major targets. And then cytochrome P450, that is an enzyme group, and that is a major detoxifying enzyme in our body. Then blood-brain barrier, liver, umbilical cord, gastrointestinal epithelium, dermal barrier, hydrolysis and transferases. These are enzymes. Let us see. Our mouth, the inner layers of mouth, esophagus, stomach, intestine, colon, skin and lungs are discarded every 3 to 4 days, because that is getting in touch with the outside environment and maybe having toxins. So those cells will be discarded continuously, the inner layers. And the human cells that are exposed to small doses of oxidants such as radiation or hydrogen peroxide induce antioxidant mechanisms. There is an induction. At smaller doses, lower responses. Higher doses, stronger responses. So there is an induction in our body. So it is, the body is made resistant to higher doses. So these induction mechanism is induced by synthetic chemicals also, not only plant produced chemicals, but synthetic chemicals also, and it is effective against both. Liver, which houses around 3 lakh different types of enzymes, 3 lakhs, and which is able to detoxify different types of compounds in the body, and either it will be absorbed or excreted out. Detoxified by liver mechanism. One is lipophilicity, penetrate membranes by diffusion. These are all the properties of most of the xenobiotics, external chemicals. And they are transported by the lipoproteins in our blood. And that is eliminated by diffusion, excretion, and make it water soluble. And product is made more polar by the enzymes. And later on, the microsomal oxygenases or mixed function oxygenases, that is a group of enzymes, and they will degrade further. Addition of a single atom of oxygen, and that will be oxidized. That is why the enzyme group is called monooxygenases. And then there will be degraded and excreted out. And this group of enzymes are evolved 3 billion years ago, not just now. It was evolved 3 billions of years ago. Means the warfare between plants and animals were going on 3 billions of years ago. At that time itself, this group of enzymes were originated in our body. But unfortunately, fishes don't have this group of enzymes. Fishes, they do not have MFO2, cytochrome P450, 2 group of enzymes. So fishes are highly prone to poisons. The mosquito repellents which we keep in our bedroom for years together, if you take a drop of it and put it in your aquarium, instantly all the fishes will die. The toxin which is not harming us will be killing the fishes so instantaneously, because they don't have cytochrome P2 group of enzymes. And DNA repair, we have lot of mechanism for DNA repair, so that if there are DNA adducts means the chemicals which are binding to DNA and causing harm will be immediately repaired. And there is blood-brain barrier. Though the blood goes to brain, all the chemicals are not allowed. Certain chemicals are blocked. That is blood-brain barrier. And there is a placental barrier also. The placenta is protected from many chemicals which are present in our blood. The mother's blood will not go into the placenta. And then we have olfactory and gustatory perception. Oh, we'll be tasting. Oh, this is yesterday's food. I don't take. It's gone. Likewise, we have a very strong gustatory and olfactory perception of chemicals. And that will be protecting us from many, many deadly chemicals. So, the father of toxicology is Paracelsus, a Swiss doctor who exclaimed that all substances are poisons. There is none which is not a poison. The right dose differentiates a poison from a remedy. It's a dose that makes a poison from a remedy. Or then everything is poison. Take water. If we take 6 liters of water in one go, in one sitting, the blood will be diluted. The blood will not do its work, like oxygen carrying capacity will be reduced, and then sodium, potassium, magnesium, all sort of minerals will be reduced, and the person will be entering into a coma, and finally they will die. Actually, it happened in USA. There was a bet in 2006. A lady drank around 6 to 7 liters of water and she died. It happened actually. And next, if you take coffee, around 118 cups of coffee is sufficient to kill a person of 70 kilogram body weight. Or if it is alcohol, liquor, 13 shots, and the shot is clearly defined. One shot means 45 ml, and the alcohol should be above 40%. 40% alcohol. So 13 shots will be sufficient to kill a person. So everything is poisonous at a higher dose. And here is a chemical, a pesticide, an insecticide, which is flubendiamide. And the other side is paracetamol, which is more toxic, which is having more acute toxicity. Naturally, everybody will say that it is flubendiamide because it's a pesticide. But flubendiamide is having an LD50 value of 5000, means 5000 milligram per kilogram body weight will be only killing, say, 50% of the test organism, mainly rat. Whereas in the case of paracetamol, it is just 2000 is sufficient. 2000 milligram is sufficient. So, paracetamol is more toxic than a pesticide, flubendiamide. Many present day pesticides are less toxic than paracetamol, which we take freely and which doctors recommend you take say 3 tablets per day if you have COVID. So, but the flubendiamide and many other pesticides are less toxic. Say coffee, we drink every morning. We start with the coffee, and the median lethal dose of caffeine is around 150 to 200 milligram per kilogram body weight. And this is a weedicide, glyphosate. It's otherwise called the Roundup. And this chemical is painted as a very deadly chemical by many environmental groups. And it is having an LD50 value of more than 5000. Means many times reduced toxicity for a herbicide compared to a black coffee or a milk coffee we take. And this exercise I have done recently, I have listed around 30 agricultural chemicals, mainly insecticides, and 30 medicines prescribed by modern medicine. And I have compared the toxicity of these two group of chemicals. Toxicity value, LD50 value below 50 means extremely toxic. 1 pesticide and 4 medicines. 500 to 50 to 500 highly toxic chemicals. 10 pesticides and 11 medicines. Below 5000, moderately toxic. 15 pesticides and 13 chemicals, 13 drugs. And above 5000, slightly toxic for pesticides and to modern medicines. So if you compare between these two, everybody thinks that a doctor prescribed medicine is less toxic, yet taking it directly into our stomach, no? Whereas other one is diluted many times and applied in the field, not directly in your body, but applied in the field. But we harbor a feeling that the pesticide which is applied in the field is far more toxic than the tablets which we take, which is wrong. The notion is wrong. You have to test your notions. So it's almost, the toxicity is not much different. So in a poison scale, water is the less toxic one, very, very benign comparatively. And at the end of the thing is botulinum poison, botulinum toxin, which is in the poison scale, botulinum toxin, which is produced by a bacteria called Clostridium botulinum, the highly toxic chemical, which if I have 2 grams of botulinum toxin, I'll be able to kill the entire population of Kerala. 3.6 crores of people can be killed by just 2 grams of botulinum toxin. Such a deadly toxin. But I have a use for it. That is, the wrinkles on your face, the creases on your face will be cleared by administering that toxin. The creams are available. Both creams are available. You have your classmates get together and you apply and go, and your creases are gone. You will be looking like very, very fresh and young, very youthful. So the deadliest chemical is having a use, and when it is diluted, that is not a toxin. So that is the difference. The pesticides are like a wild elephant, but we tame a wild elephant. The same way we dilute pesticides and the toxin is reduced, and we will be able to bear that toxin. So the dilution, if you look at, this is called a dose response curve for calculation of toxicological indices. DNEL means derived no effect level. NOAEL, no observable adverse effect level for the rat or any test organism. No observable adverse effect level. Then LOAEL is lowest observable adverse effect level. And next is LD50, the dose that kills 50% of the target organism. There are many more indices, but we take this much only. See, is a pesticide dangerous at applied level? So the dose which pesticides are usually applied is 500 ppm to 1000 ppm, parts per million. So effect of any pesticide is dose related or body weight related. Average weight of an insect is only 6 milligrams or 7 milligrams, 50 milligrams, very, very low. And that of a human being is 60 kilograms. The difference is 10 lakh times. That is a safety margin, 10 lakh times. So an insecticide solution which is lethal for an insect, for a mosquito, for a tea mosquito, will be NOAEL for a human being. No observable adverse effect level. If the person is exposed for more times or more quantities, there will be immediate toxicity symptoms like nausea, vomiting, double vision, chest congestion, like vomiting. Such symptoms will be there. Otherwise, for pesticidal concentrations, nothing will happen because it is NOAEL for a human being. So in the crop protection spray, we will be diluting the chemical. No, when we dilute the chemical, 99% will be water and only 1% will be the pesticide. So that much dilution happens when we dilute and apply. And it is thought that pesticides are usually is a problem and accidental poisoning can happen. But a study in America shows that it is the analgesics which are more frequently involved in poisoning. Analgesics. And the last one is pesticides. Analgesics, sedatives, antidepressants, cardiovascular drugs, cleaning agents, alcohols, and finally pesticides. And the spray drift. You apply in one area and the wind will take the spray droplets to a non-target area. But even then, the solution itself is very low toxic that during drift, the number of particles which are going to the non-target area will be very, very low, and it is not able to cause any problem. And during the development of a pesticidal molecule, what happens? At the beginning itself, pesticide companies will screen thousands of molecules. Thousands of molecules will be screened, and then only finally we will be reaching one. And the pesticide companies have laboratories, and accredited laboratories of FAO, WHO, and Codex Alimentaris laboratories are there. All these laboratories, pesticide claims will be tested. In India, we have Central Insecticide Board and Registration Committee. They have accredited laboratories where all these claims will be tested. And for USA, it is Environmental Protection Agency, European Chemical Agency, Australian Pesticides and Veterinary Medicine Authority. Like each country have their own authority to test these chemicals, to regulate the use of these chemicals. Don't think that they are free. They are not. They are all regulated, highly regulated chemicals. So at the time of allowing such pesticides for use in the country, all the data will be generated. What are the data? Like acute test, single exposure, high dose, short duration test, oral dermal inhalation toxicity, eye and skin irritation, dermal sensitization, then subchronic and chronic test, long-term exposure, 1 year exposure, 3 year exposure to different laboratory organisms, teratogenicity, effect on fertility, genetic toxicity, mutagenicity, carcinogenicity. Like all these tests will be conducted on test organisms, then only that chemical will be allowed for use in any country. It will be tested by FAO as well as WHO. They are accredited laboratories. And many testing organisms, because sensitivity of different organisms will be different. So there are different testing organisms, mainly on dogs. Long-term testing will be done because dogs will be living for 10 to 14 years, and long-term testing will be done on dogs. So after testing for short-term as well as long-term, then only these chemicals will be allowed for registration in any country. And then there will be 5-year review or 10-year review, because laboratory testing has their own limitations. So after 10 years, the agency will be looking for the papers, different research papers all over the world, and they will be evaluating. There will be a lot of doctors as well as pesticidal experts in the committee, and they will be evaluating, because by large scale application, what will happen to persons, whether there is environmental contamination, and what are the other problems by long-term application, by intense application. So that also will be reviewed, and then only a decision will be taken to give continuous permission or not. Till then it is withheld. And then the question of pesticide residues in our food. Everybody is fearful about the residues of pesticides in our diet. People say, don't take grapes. The color on the grape itself shows that it is highly poisonous. See, I have checked those grapes bunches in the shop for 2-3 minutes. No flies were sitting on that grape bunch. So it definitely is highly toxic. No ants are nowadays visiting shops. People will be making their own arguments about the pesticide contamination on fruits, vegetables, etc. See, pesticide on your planter. News, lot of news. See, the market, vegetable market during Onam is killing the people. That much of pesticide residues in vegetables during Onam period that it is able to kill the persons. Onam vipaniyile pachakarigal aale kollum. That much. So what is it? How we fix the pesticide residue, the maximum residue limit of pesticides on the food? First is 100, we'll be testing it. 100 milligram per kilogram body weight per day is given to the test animals. And we find the NOAEL for reproduction testing during the reproduction period as well as during lactation period, pesticide will be administered by different ways and the offsprings will be tested. No problem for the next generation. So that is reproduction testing. And say if it is 50 milligram for carcinogenicity, no carcinogenicity problems in the tested organisms. And again the dose is reduced for year-long repeated dose testing. Year-long repeated dose testing and no adverse effect is seen. No carcinogenicity, no problem for the offspring, nothing happens. It's purely benign at such a dose. It can happen because we have the defense mechanism. The rat, guinea pig, every organism has their own defense mechanism. So, at a very low dose, nothing happens. And that dose is again divided by 100. That is safety margin we take for ourselves, human beings. So, no problem for repeated year-long testing for the test organism divided by 100. That is fixed as acceptable daily intake, ADI, acceptable daily intake. And 80% of this is only taken. 80% of this ADI is taken as MRL value, maximum residue limit permissible in fruits and vegetables. 80% of ADI. ADI means no problem for rat or mouse or any test organism. Even if it is 100 times higher, even then there is no problem. But what we usually think, the newspapers or the TV people will come and they will say it is the MRL value is 1.1 ppm. That is permitted. And the actual test shows, the market sample shows 2 ppm. Means it's double. That means if you take it, you will have cancer or other problems. Even if it is 100 times, nothing will happen for the rat. That is how it is fixed. That is how the safety margin is employed in such cases. But that is what we believe, and the media people is making us to believe. So why we fix MRL value? It is to protect the consumers, to ensure that there is fair trade practices in the food trade, and the promotion of all food standards. Promote the coordination between food standards. And also, the most important thing is that scientific cultivation is followed in the country. If the pesticides are applied at a scientific manner, no residue will come. It will be surely below MRL value. If the market sample shows that there is higher percentage of chemical in the sample, that shows that the farmers are not following scientific cultivation practices. That is what does it indicate. Then definitely we have to intervene in such places and we have to tell the farmers what is what, how to use scientifically. For that need only MRL is tested. And which country uses more quantity of pesticides, whether it is Europe or other countries or India? Naturally, everybody will say that India uses more quantity of pesticides than Europe or any other country. So let us see. This is the 2017 FAO statistics. China uses 11 kilograms of pesticides per hectare, and Japan 10.6, Brazil 5.7, USA 3.4, European Union 2.1, and India only 300 grams. European Union uses 7 times more pesticides than India. But we harbor a feeling that Europe is very pristine and India uses large quantity of pesticides. It is not so. The scientific use may be different, but we use far more less quantity of pesticides than European Union. And whenever we export anything from India to European Union, there will be very stringent testing. There will be testing pesticide residues. And when we import chocolate and other chemical things from Europe to India, no testing, nothing. We take it for granted that they are all pesticide free, though they use 7 times more pesticides per hectare per year than us. So that is how we do it, how we treat it. And pesticide residues are monitored in the country, throughout the country, by 33 laboratories. These laboratory people will be going to market, they take vegetable samples and come to the laboratory, and with the standard protocols usually prescribed by the American Chemical Society, the residues will be tested. And reports are available in the internet. You can see central sector scheme on monitoring pesticide residues. This is the data taken from that. For the last 10 years, from 2008-9 to 2016-17, the values are above MRL value, pesticide residues are only around 2%. Means 98% of the vegetables and fruit samples are free of contamination. Below MRL value only. One can very freely take. But there is a chemophobia among people that people don't take vegetables nowadays, or they don't take fruits in enough quantities. They don't take. And they harbor a feeling that if you are taking pesticide laden vegetables and fruits, they'll definitely develop cancer. I have a friend at Nileeswaram. He used to say that, see, I don't buy any sort of vegetables and fruits nowadays. I take only meat, egg and chicken, that much only. If they are not taking sufficient quantity of vegetables and fruits, they may develop cancer. The chances are higher. Various studies have shown that large quantities of vegetables and fruits are protecting us. A very interesting term is hormesis. 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 Hormesis means at low doses of pesticide treating in the organisms, say mouse or guinea pig, it is found that their health is improved. People don't take it. People will say that I am on the side of chemicals, but it's true. You can test it, see it. At very low doses, the body is stimulated, and the body is making sufficient protection. So that way their health is improved. It is called a sufficient challenge, and various terms are called, and lot of studies are going in that. Even with synthetic chemicals, that is done. And Bruce Amis has tested, he has accumulated different studies, and a meta-analysis was done, and it is found that consumption of larger quantity of fruits and vegetables protect the humans from different types of cancers. It's because these fruits and vegetables contain large quantity of plant produced chemicals, and that is providing a stimulus to the body against cancer causing mechanisms. Everybody is fear of cancer, and people feel that there is a cancer epidemic in the country. Let us examine that. And people are very much sure that the reason for such a cancer epidemic in the country is pesticides. That is for sure. See, this is the prevalence of cancer in different countries in the world. Australia 468 per 1 lakh persons, New Zealand 438, Ireland 374. All these countries you can see, mainly European countries and some other countries, which are all developed countries. For India, it's only 98. Recently it is 99 per 1 lakh. Only 98 have. And even world average is 198 world average. India have low cancer prevalence compared to other countries in the world, and European countries and developed countries have a higher cancer prevalence. Why? Why it is so? Let us see. See, cancer prevalence in Indian states, if you look at, Mizoram is maximum, followed by Meghalaya, and then Delhi, Arunachal Pradesh, Haryana, Assam, Nagaland, Kerala, Karnataka, Sikkim, and Punjab. Punjab is equal to Indian prevalence. All over India it's 98, and in Punjab it is 97.5. But remember that Punjab is a cradle of the green revolution in the country, where pesticides were used in large quantities, and the cancer prevalence is equal to India average only. Whereas Kerala, we don't use much, and we have a higher average. And look at those states which are having higher prevalence. Mizoram, no industrial cultivation. Assam, Meghalaya, all those northeastern states have a higher prevalence of cancer. What could be the reason? The reason is use of alcohol as well as tobacco. That is the main reason for a higher prevalence of cancer in northeastern region of the country. And that is the major reason for cancer in any society. In Europe, it is use of alcohol. Europe drinks around more than double than any average world citizen. It's around 13 liters per person per year, whereas world average is only 6 liters. Europe drinks more than double. So, and they are very much fearful about the pesticide residue which are coming from other countries, but they drink the very same carcinogen every day. They drink. So, that is a paradox of it. So, how we can get more information about cancer? You visit the site International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, where you can see 4 groups of carcinogenic chemicals. One group A, group 1, carcinogenic to humans. It's proven 121 agents. Group 2A, probably carcinogenic to humans, 88 agents. Group 2B, possibly carcinogenic to humans, 313 agents. And group 3, not classifiable as to its carcinogenicity to humans, 499 agents. So, which are the proven carcinogens? Let us see. Oral cavity, human papilloma virus. Lip, hydrochlorothiazide and solar radiation. And salivary gland, radioiodines, including iodine 131. Tonsil, human papilloma virus. Pharynx, alcoholic beverages. Oral cavity, mainly alcoholic beverages. In any form, beer, wine, whiskey, brandy, in any form of alcohol is carcinogenic. So, number 1 carcinogens are alcohol, tobacco, betel wines, chimney soot, sunlight, processed meat, rubber manufacturing industry, job of painting. Where is pesticide here? No pesticide. There was one pesticide, that was lindane. Lindane was found to be carcinogenic. And when the research papers came, Indian authorities banned it. It is banned all over the world. Lindane is no more there in the list of pesticides available in the country. So, at present, this 121 agents of sure pesticide, sure carcinogens, there is no pesticide at all. No pesticide at all. And other groups are 2A, probable cause is malathion, and 2B, possible cause is DDT. Whereas Rachel Carson in her book told that a lady applied DDT in her basement of the house and within 7 months she got cancer. A statement without any support of scientific data. In her book she made many such statements. So, and in the 2B group, there is a medicine also. That is metronidazole, which is still prescribed by doctors. It is a 2B carcinogen. And most of the pesticides are coming in class 3, means not classifiable as a carcinogen, no proof till date. The question of cancer comes, we have to look at 2 things. One is incidence, number of cases reported every year. And then prevalence, total number of cases at a particular time. So, let us see prevalence. Cancer Research UK says, by far the biggest risk factor for most of the cancers is simply getting older. You cannot prevent the aging, no, you cannot prevent. As you age, the chances of cancer will be more and more. See, the risk by National Cancer Institute shows that as the persons are getting aged, there will be more chances of cancer. That is why European Union has a higher prevalence of cancer. Other than alcoholic addiction, they harbor aged people, European Union. So, naturally, more cancer will be there. That is the second reason. So, when we are getting older and older, there will be aberrations in our genetic mechanism in DNA, and that may accrue, and finally we may develop cancer. So Kerala has a higher percentage of older people, and in due course, in future, we'll have more prevalence of cancer. That is for definite. We'll have more cancer. The country will have more cancer. And protection from cancer by consuming fruits and vegetables. You look at this, a very interesting paper by Bruce Ennis. Total, he has examined 172 research papers and found that out of that, 129 research papers show that by consuming good quantity of fruits and vegetables, the cancer chances are less and less because they offer a protection against cancer. Very, very interesting paper. So that's all. So thank you very much for your patient listening.